Alright, alright, alright. Hive, bring a sword. Alright, everybody. So, my name is Tom, and you are watching me play Destiny 2. Not really playing Destiny 2, there's just going to be some background footage here today, but the TWAB just dropped. And I'm going to go quickly over the things that were highlighted in it, notably Gambit changes. Lots of Gambit changes. So I'm going to not read this verbatim. I'll put a link to the TWAB down in the description if you want to read it in more detail. However, it's there's a lot. So first, the actual outline of what they want Gambit to be. They want Gambit to be more quick on the mote collecting phase and slower on the boss fighting phase, so that it's a more even experience. So that's what they're going for with all of these changes. Which I think is good, honestly, because the problem is, with Gambit at the moment, as soon as whoever gets the boss first just wins, because the boss burn is so quick that you can't catch up. There's absolutely no catch-up mechanic whatsoever. So, we'll go over the core activity changes for start. For starters, Freelance Node is acted. That is amazing. Freelance mode is essentially you go in and you can only queue against other solo players. This will alleviate, hopefully, getting stomped by a full team of 4s if you're trying going in there with just yourself and trying to beat another team, because a full team is going to have better coordination and pretty much always going to win Gambit. That's just the reality of the situation. So, Freelance is added. That's quite nice. They're also doing, interestingly, they're doing, like, selected, like, the encounters that you get are curated. So you're going to have a specific race on a specific map for the season. I'm not entirely sure how to read this, whether or not it's going to be like a weekly rotation, or we're going to have like all of Season 16 is going to be Hive, and then all of Season 17 is going to be Cabal. I'm not entirely sure. I'm guessing it's going to be a weekly rotation. So one week we're going to have Hive, the next week you'll have Cabal, the next week you'll have Fallen. And then next week you'll have Scorn or whatever, and it's just going to go on a rotation. We'll see how that actually means. Honestly, it's not entirely clear what this means. But, whatever, we'll find out. So they've added respawn points to every single section, so if you die, you can respawn back where your teammates are, so you don't have to run back. That's always nice. When you are killed, you only drop half of your motes. Sorry. This isn't entirely... When you die, you lose your motes, but you drop half of them, so they can be picked up by anybody else, including invaders, interestingly. And invaders now drop more motes than they were before. It makes recovering from, like, a really good invader a little easier, because if an invader comes in and gets a 4-bang on 4 people with 15 motes, kind of destroys you. Also, they've changed the respawn timer, or the revive timer, I should say. You can start reviving your teammates earlier. Also, it doesn't do the auto respawn as quickly, so you've got a bit of time to actually respawn them. All of the shields have increased resistance when they're not matching the elements. It's not as severe as match game that you get in Nightfalls and things, but they do want to kind of promote build crafting, so they want you to actually cover shield types. There are also some changes to the blockers, notably the Phalanx you get at 10 motes. They've bumped his health a bit, because he was kind of a joke, to be honest. When you said a 10 blocker was just not good enough for investing 10 motes. Like, you're better doing 15s and 5s, because the shield that the goblins give is amazing, and the Knight is just better than the 10, because the Phalanx is just one burst and he's dead. The Knights have gained a stasis attack. They played around with changing the health, but they found that it was too much of a pain in the ass, so they've just given him a stasis attack. I assume replacing the fire attack, which is probably easier. It's probably a slight nerf, I guess. I don't know, we'll see. It depends. Also, the mote drain from multiple blockers is still going to be there, however it's changing slightly. For starters, if you are standing next to the... If you get multiple invaders and your motes are draining, if you are engaging the blockers, then there's a pause on the actual drain on the motes. So you're not going to be draining as many motes as quickly when you put a bunch of dudes there, which is quite nice. They're changing the ammo economy, seemingly to give us more ammo, which is interesting. I mean, I guess it makes more sense from a boss damage perspective, because they're upping the boss damage, the boss fight length, I guess. But when you complete a front a chest containing a small amount of special or heavy ammo spawns in the middle of the front and can be looted by each player. Times out 20 seconds after it's initially interacted, so you can't just dilly-dally, you've got to like take it immediately. Killing a high-value target will spawn 1 normal heavy brick for every player. And during the Primeval phase, ammo chest spawns in one of the fronts every 60 seconds. This replaces the regular front ammo chest, but you'll still need to go and grab it from time to time, so you actually have to go out to each of the fronts to grab one. And limited special and heavy ammo bricks to only spawn from enemies if you have the Finder mods equipped. And other ammo, exotics, and perks like Aeons still work, so you can still use Aeons there and go absolutely thrash. But moving on to the Primeval fight. The Primeval health and Slayer bonus is changed a bit, so burning the boss after 3 rounds of envoys is still going to be very easy. So when you get that Primeval times 6, it's still going to burn really quick, about as quick as it's doing now. However, before you get those envoy stacks, when you're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's nowhere near as bakeable. It's a lot harder. So the envoys themselves have reduced health, and they're no longer affected by the Slayer stacks, so it doesn't get easier to kill the envoys as you go. But they each have varied elemental shields. And killing an envoy will get your Slayer stacks will require movement, because they're going to put them in different fronts. They're not going to spawn in the middle with the boss, they're going to spawn out to the sides, so you've actually got to go out to the sides to kill the envoys. Good change, I think. It makes it more dynamic. And the envoys can put an invulnerability shield on the Primeval, so you've got to definitely kill the envoys. You can't just ignore the envoys and burn the Primeval if you've got, like, baller damage. Also, the envoys respawn at 30% of the Primeval damage done. And it gets increased by 10% every envoy respawn. And they stop respawning after the 5th respawn. So the max you can get is 10 stacks of Primeval, what's it called? Primeval damage, what's it called? Primeval stacks. Primeval Slayer stacks, that's what it's called. And they've gotten rid of the servitor boss, the big meatball. It's just kind of the shielding mechanics that they had kind of conflicted with the new mechanics they're doing. But this means that the Malfeasance quest is just going to drop, as soon as you kill your first Primeval, you're going to get the Malfeasance quest. So if you haven't done that yet, that's a good way to do it. Moving on to invasions. Leveling advantage is now, quote-unquote, disabled for Invader PvP. Apparently it's been like that since Beyond Light. I didn't know that, but cool. And one of the moat phases has been removed, so you now get an invasion at 40 moats banked and 80 moats banked. And the Primeval phase invasions are the same, so every 3rd you will get an invasion. And you can no longer save up your invasions, so if you get to 40 moats and no one invades after you hit 80, then you don't get that second invade. You essentially skip an invade. And the invader can no longer see how many moats enemies are carrying, and the player's nameplate will fade out when the invader is aiming down sights. So you'll still get that wall hack where you can see players running around, but if you aim down sights to try and snipe somebody, you lose that wall hack, so you can't see them walking out of cover to snipe them. Or shoot them with Tomorrow's Answer or whatever. There's a lot of things that this will actually stop, which is quite good. We found a bug with how the Primeval heal effect was being applied, which, depending on the sequence and timing of kills, would heal the Primeval somewhere between 5 and 35%. This is now fixed, so when an invader gets a kill, it will heal the Primeval for exactly 27% every single time. Which is good, it's more consistent. There was some weird shit going on with when you would get a kill as an invader, sometimes it wouldn't heal hardly at all, and sometimes you get this massive dump of healing. So they fixed that, which is nice. They've also added changes to the rewards in Gambit, notably you can focus engrams. So, similar to the way you can do it with Saint at the moment, they're adding this to all of them eventually, but Gambit is getting this refresh now. So you can focus a Gambit engram into either a Gambit armor engram or a Gambit weapon engram for 10,000 glimmer and 50 legendary shards. The Gambit weapons include Crowd Pleaser, Bottom Dollar, Trinary System, Borrowed Time, and Servant Leader. And brand new Gambit leaders are drop only for a single season, and then they'll become available for focusing. So if a new weapon in Gambit comes out, you won't be able to focus it, but then the following season you will be able to. And they expect to expand Drifter's focusing options further during upcoming seasons. Bygones, Trust, and Bad Omens are all being removed from him. Bygones and Trust are both sunset, so yeah, it's fine. Although I do love Trust, it's my favourite 180 hand cannon. In fact, it's like the only 180 hand cannon I actually like. So, yeah, I've still got my old one and I love it. And the end match drops. There is a Gambit memento for weapon crafting that you can drop at the end of a match, so it's like a little cosmetic thing to do with Gambit. And all of the old Gambit shaders now have a small chance of dropping at the end of a match. And the Primeval Servitor cosmetics, so like there's a sparrow, I think, a shell, I think there's an emblem as well that all used to drop from the meatball. They're now just put, there's a chance that they drop at the end. So, that's a lot of things. They're also adding Gambit Labs. So occasionally they're going to do Gambit Labs the same way they do Trials Labs, so they change up the way that Gambit works for like a week. So we have Invasion Swap, which means that when you hit the 40 or 80 mote threshold, your opponent will get to invade rather than you getting an invade, which is very interesting. As well as Moat Thief. So essentially this is going to be, when an invader invades, it's going to be incumbent on them to hide, because every second that they're invading, they will get a moat from the opponent's bank going to their bank. So it's going to essentially incentivize you to go in there and hide. And when this is up, if you get invaded, you want to hunt down that invader and find them and kill them. It's really interesting. But that is pretty much everything for Gambit changes. There is a few more things in the TWAB, but yeah, I don't care that much. Gambit is where it's really at. There's some new seasonal armor that they've hinted here. There's a bunch of other things. As I said, I will leave the link down to the TWAB in full down below if you're interested in a few of these other things. But I just wanted to cover Gambit because I've wanted a long time for Gambit to be good, because I still kind of enjoy the mode. It's just it gets boring after playing like 2 games, and I really wish it wasn't. Like I'd pretty much ignore playing it until like right near the end of the season. Anyway, it's a whole thing. If you like this video, please leave a like. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And as always, thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time.